Hello, everyone, and welcome to End Times Prophecy Broadcasting. I'm Brother Kevin, coming to you with another teaching on end times in the news. End times in the news, and it seems like every day is just getting more and more headed toward that way, doesn't it? Every time you look up at the news, it's crazier and crazier things seem to be happening. But it's not crazier and crazier things. This is just Bible prophecy unfolding. And when you know that, you're not shocked, you're not surprised. Maybe you're a little some people may be overwhelmed by it, but it's needful that you know it. And it may be surprising in the sense of it's happening during your lifetime. Maybe you thought this would happen in a lifetime, your child's lifetime, or your grandkid's lifetime, or your great grandkids' lifetime. But no, it's happening now. These things are just coming to pass like so quickly. And I talked about this before. It seemed like for a little bit there was like a lull in prophecy, and then President Trump became president, and then just everything just seemed to just like take off there. I don't know the reason why, but it sparked one prophetic thing after another coming to pass in the Bible, or leading up to things that's going to make things in the Bible, especially in the book of Revelation, come to pass. But before I get started on today's news, prophecy in the news here, go ahead and subscribe, hit that notification bell, like the page, and so we can grow. We only have 29 subs. Not a complaint. We're not here for money or to give away things or merchandise or anything. It's just straight up teaching, and that's all. It's all it's about. I'm just trying to be the watchman on the wall and let you guys know what's going on, and prophecy. One thing you have to know, what's going on, is this. Let me get over here. This real-time digital tracking is about to happen, and it's going to be happening in the Bahamas. This is from in the Bahamas. This is from it's from End Time Prophecy in the news, but I don't know where they got the link from. But I looked it up again, and I don't know where it's at right now. But that's okay. But it just says here, now listen here. Now this ties into Revelation chapter 13, verse 16, 17, and 18. All right. You have to understand something about the Antichrist. The Antichrist is all about world control. He's going to control the whole world. But here's the problem about the Antichrist. He's not God. He's Satan in the flesh, but he's not God in the flesh. God is three things we know for sure. He's omnipresent, means he's everywhere at once. He's omniscient, he knows all. And he's omnipotent, means he's all powerful. And that opens a big door for, well, God is all powerful. Why did bad things keep happening to good people and all these horrible things? All right. Well, just because he's all powerful, doesn't mean that he gets to execute his power in a vacuum at will. All right. He's governed by his own laws that he has set in place that are governed by us and faith. So you have to remember the power of God is governed. It's governed by our faith and our will and our free will. And people have to realize that God just can't all the time act in a vacuum. Now, things that are prophecy, written in prophecy, that's what you call an edict, or it's written, it's going to happen. Some things are just going to be made to be happen, like judgments that are coming from God. That's edict. That's without our human beings' interference. That's just God unleashing his power for righteousness. That is called righteous judgment upon the world. And so that's a different thing. But in our everyday lives, all right, God's power is released through us. It's just not in a vacuum, but he's still all powerful. There's plenty of teachings out there on that, but I don't have any time for that today. I have to get on with this. But the goal of the Antichrist, so he's none of those things. He's not all knowing, but he's tremendously wise. He's not omnipresent. He can't be everywhere at once. And he's not omnipotent. He's not all powerful. So he has to mimic those things of God to do that. So for him to be omnipresent, to be everywhere at one time, he can't do that. Even with demons that are serving him, it's still not enough for all the people on the planet. So what things have to be done, like real-time digital tracking. This is from the Bahamas. Now you think, well, the Bahamas, Bahamas is where people go to vacation. Well, it says here, the Bahamas Ministry of Economic Affairs and the National E-Identification System, NIS, Committee held a 2-day workshop to kickstart engagement of public and private sectors for developing an implementation strategy for the National Digital Identification System. The workshop marked the beginning of the process of developing a strategy, roadmap, and action plan for the implementation and the adoption of a national digital identification system in the Bahamas. Now, that's just in the Bahamas. If that's just in the Bahamas, if that's going to be ground zero for this. Now, they've been wanting to do this with chips and so forth for a long time. Other places have chips and everything. But it's all leading to Revelation chapter 13. How will the beast know who, what? And he calls us all, verse 15 of Revelation chapter 13, and he calls us all, both small and great, rich and poor, free and bond, to receive a mark in their right hand or in their foreheads, and that no man might buy or sell save he that had the mark or the name of the beast or the number of his name. And here is wisdom. Let him that hath understanding count the number of the beast, for it is the number of a man, and his number is 666. So this is one way where the beast can be omnipresent, is by digital tracking. Knowing people's movements through putting a device in your body, on the outside of the body, and digitally track you, almost like a GPS. They know what you're doing, your bank accounts, all your information, everything you do. And if you don't comply, and it's going to come through a mandate, we've already seen that happen. People were mandated to do a certain thing. We know what that is. And the people who didn't comply, a lot of people who didn't comply, lost their jobs, lost their careers, because they exercised their freedom over, in my opinion, with just tyranny. You have a choice. You did have a choice. Your choice is to comply with the mandate or lose your job. Where here it's going to be, in this latter year, it's going to be comply or lose your life. You won't be able to buy or sell. You won't be able to do any of those things. And eventually the Bible talks about those very same people who did not comply become saved, and they lose their life for the name of Christ. And as a reminder, I approach this channel through the lens of a biblical perspective, not necessarily a political one. It overlaps sometimes and everything, but it's because it's part of it. Politics plays a part, yes, even in the Bible, because the Antichrist is not only uh, is the devil in the flesh, but the Antichrist is also the political figure who's also trying to pose as Messiah, which he is not. Messiah already came. That's Jesus, and he's coming again. So this is just one of the things they're going to be doing is real-time digital tracking, where they'll be able to track your every move, every minute, every second. When is that going to happen? Well, some people will just comply right away with it. We call those people sheep. They just do it. They're not like biblical sheep. They're like another set of sheep. Biblical sheep, the Bible says, we're led like lambs to the slaughter, because we follow Jesus. It's an inevitability what's going to occur with us and everything. You're going to be persecuted. All these things, what happened to Jesus will happen to you. They persecuted him for righteousness' sake because their deeds were evil. So it's going to happen. It happens every day. And so you should be surprised, and happened to the apostles. It happened through many believers through history, and it'll happen to you. But through grace and faith, we overcome this with all joy. We count it all joy through all these persecutions because we're doing the right thing. It was said that, if you don't run into the devil in your daily life, it's probably because you guys go in the same direction. So that's a good thing. If you're getting harassed on the daily by the devil and everything, yeah, you could resist him and you can overcome him. The Bible says, resist the devil. That means to actively fight against, and he shall flee from you. But he flees. He wants to come right back. All right. You may come back the same day with something else, but we actively fight against him every day. So we keep resisting him on all fronts that we can. But this is for the end time. So you got real-time digital tracking, which you're going to be doing. It's there. The technology is already there. The worldwide implementation of that, it will come to pass. Here's another thing here I want to talk about, and that is this. Now, this is just even more wild because it's undetectable. Now, this is from NPR, of all places. This is NPR. And those little things that you see the head of the ant right there, I do believe. So you know how small an ant is. Look at the size of that thing. That thing's even smaller with all those little digital thingamajobs on there. Yes, I call them thingamajobs because I don't know what they are, because I'm not an engineer of any kind of sort. But it says here, this is NPR, flying microchips the size of a sand grain could be used for population surveillance. This is another way the Antichrist can be in all places at one time, because he can't do it because he is not God. He's not omnipresent. So this is just another way for the Antichrist to be everywhere all at once. It says this in the article. It says, it's neither a bird nor a plane, but a winged microchip as small as a grain of sand that can be carried by the wind as it monitors such things as pollution levels or the spread of airborne diseases. Yeah, right. Every time they say that, when I hear pollution levels and airborne diseases, they always couch it, or they always put it, package it up in a nice little, beautiful little present, everything for your safety. It's always for our safety. Oh, the pollution levels and everything, we got to do something about that. Or it's for the spread of airborne diseases now because we have, all right, the coof or something like that. Yes, I have to be aware even saying about about coof. All right. So, and it's not going to be for that. As noble as they want to make these things sound, they're not for that. They're not for that. This is more for the Antichrist to be used in the end times to what? To monitor you. And you won't even know it. You'll be inhaling this stuff, taking it into your body. In that time, during the Great Tribulation, if this is implemented, and I'm sure it will be, people will be breathing it in. They'll be filled with it. They'll be filled with it. And it's as simple as the GPS on your phone. They'll know everything about you. They'll know everything, your banking account information. They'll know when you went to the bank. They'll know where you live, when you went to the movies, all right, when you made love. Things like that. That's just nasty. That's just bad. Gosh, things like that it just blows your mind like that to when you had an argument, when you took a shower. This is next level crazy. But here we are. We're right here. 20 years ago, or how long have I been preaching now? I've been preaching since 1993. So we're going on 30 years now. 30 years ago, I'd have never thought about that. Now, we were thinking about chips and stuff like that going into the hand and the development for that, and that came to pass. But nothing like this. My imagination didn't go toward this. Maybe some people's did, but not mine. So they use this excuse as pollution levels or the spread of airborne diseases. Sure. The tiny microflyers, whose development by engineers at Northwestern University was detailed in an article published by Nature this week, are being billed as the smallest ever human-made flying structures. The devices don't have a motor. Engineers were instead inspired by the maple tree's free-falling propeller seeds, technically known as Samara fruit. The engineers optimized the aerodynamics of the microflyers so that all these structures fall through the air. The interaction between the air and those wings causes a rotational motion that creates a very stable, slow falling velocity, said John A. Rogers, who led the development of the devices. That allows these structures to interact for extended periods with ambient wind that really enhances the dispersal process, said the Northwestern professor of material science and engineering, biomedical engineering, and neurological surgery. The wind would scatter the tiny microchips, which would sense their surrounding environments and collect information as you breathe them in. So they'll be collecting information on you. The scientists say they could potentially be used to monitor for contamination, surveil populations. There we go. Or even track disease. So they want to surveil populations. So they always look. They can't help but tell the truth. They can't. Evil can't help but tell what they're going to do. They can't help themselves. Eventually, everything comes out. The truth always comes out. My aunt always used to tell me. My aunt Alma. She always used to say it. Everything always comes out in the wash. So it comes out in the wash. The truth, well, eventually it always gets out. Now, today, they're like, oh, it's conspiracy theory. But yeah, I'll tell you what, a lot of these conspiracy theories are coming to pass. And I never understood something. Now I'm getting off a little tangent right here about conspiracy theories. What's wrong with conspiracy theories? Conspiracy theories are like, oh, that's misinformation and everything. So what? So what? If it's a conspiracy theory, it's a conspiracy theory. World Trade 7 number 7 was taken down by a demolition explosion and everything. Okay, you have both sides going back and forth saying, no, it didn't. No, it happened because of this. And we saw the blast. And you have all these YouTube videos and on Rumble and whatever. On the internet, period, you have all this kind of stuff. No one really knows the exact truth yet, but the exact truth eventually comes out. But one thing we do know, that building number 7 came down. Conspiracy theories normally, I'm using the qualifying word normally, are harmless. They're not intended to like that. They're to make one think, to critical think, which is not encouraged in today's society by the higher ups. I mean, the conspiracy theory of Bigfoot. No one seems to get upset about that. Or if the moon's made of cheese, no one seems to be upset about that. Or if the moon landing was real, no one seems to be upset about that. But you start talking about things that are a little bit closer to home, like that, they will shut your channel down. You're not allowed to talk about it. Not on this platform, anyhow. Not anymore. Back in the day, you could, but that made real conversation. You had people talking to one another like that, making comments and wondering, and could this be real? And man, that's kind of crazy and everything. And everybody would have an opinion, and that's the American way. But we're not in the American way now. They're trying, in my opinion, trying to turn this into what communist China is. Kind of how they control their population and how they control people, how their government does. Kind of the same way. They want an American version of the Communist Chinese Party, the CCP. All right. They want to have an American version of that. And at the federal government level. And so that battle is going on right now, and not a physical battle, but a battle of ideas, courts, and all that kind of stuff. Not everything, when people say war or battle and everything, does not mean an actual physical battle where bloodshed is happening. People use it in football and basketball and that kind of stuff. But the overreaction of everyone today is like, they're meaning real physical war and arms and everything. When it gets down to that, you won't even have to talk about real war, because it starts. They just start. The first shot's fired and it starts. So when we talk on this channel, when we talk about, normally we're talking about these type of metaphorical wars and metaphorical battles. We're talking about it as metaphor in the metaphorical sense, like this struggle with ideas and policy. Okay. It goes on to say their creators foresee microflyers becoming part of a large distributed collection of miniaturized wireless electronic devices. That looks like, you know what that is? What is a miniaturized wireless electronic device? That's a cell phone. The miniature cell phone. What you carry in your pocket, what I see I have in my hand every day, my cell phone, I can do everything almost on it that I need to get done. Pay bills and whatever. You fill in the blank. This is just another step further that attaches itself to that cell phone, that attaches itself to all these other things across the internet, to maybe a database or something. Who knows? Who knows where this goes? Who knows? I don't know the infrastructure of which the Antichrist is going to set up, and I really don't care about it. But I know this, that he is going to be able to monitor everybody on the planet, everyone on the planet. All right. Small, great, rich, poor, doesn't matter. He'll be able to monitor everyone. And this is just another way to do it if this was implemented. Although the size and engineering of the microflyers are unique, NPR reported on the development of similar micro drones in March. Listen to that. The concept has also found its way to the dystopian science fiction series Black Mirror. Wow. Probably need to watch that. Quote, we think that we beat nature. Oh, they just love trying to beat God, don't they? But unlike with maple seeds, the engineers needed to slow down the descent of their microflyers to give the devices more time to collect data. Team members Younggang Hung developed a computer computer model that calculated the best design that would enable the microflyers to fall slowly and disperse widely. This is impossible with trial and error experiments, Huang said in a Northwestern news release. The team also drew inspiration from children's pop-up books for the construction of such tiny devices. And it just keeps going on and on and on. We think we have beat nature, Torres said, at least in the narrow sense that we have been able to build structures that fall with more stable trajectories and at a slower terminal velocities than equivalent seeds that you would see from plants or trees. So think about that. So I thought to myself, one of the first things I thought about, dang, these things are released, like a hurricane comes and everything. What about that? They just keep releasing them into the air. You suck them in. They're part of your system like that. What we call it, there's so many questions, it causes blood clots and heart problems and everything, mess with your immune system and like that. What would that do? I mean, held it like sand, All these, it always goes to like, health problems and stuff like that. And we get that. And that's a viable question, but it's not one for us, church. It's not one for us. That is for the people during the Great Tribulation. They're the ones who are going to accept Jesus during this time, and just say, okay, I believe in the rapture. But if the rapture doesn't happen and this were to happen and I had to lose my life for Christ, so what? So what? So what? Ain't no big deal. To live is to Christ, die is to gain. I mean, it's, we're only here for a little while on this earth. We have one job, really, on this earth. We're ambassadors. We are ambassadors. That means we bring one message, that's the kingdom message, to the people from one nation to another. That's what an ambassador does. He is the, or she is the person that is the go between the policy of the one said country that goes to the other country and said, this is said policy to the other country. They are like an extension of the president or Congress or whatever. They are the extension of that. So if the president's policy is this and the country's policy is that, all right, that ambassador is supposed to go to that other country and say, this is the policy and this is what we stand for, or whatever like that, and whatnot. Us being ambassadors from the kingdom of God, all right, we have a mission as ambassadors. It's like we go tell people of every nation on this earth about the gospel, or the good news, or too good to be true news, all right? But it's true about Jesus Christ, that there's a heaven to gain and a hell to shun, and God does love everyone, but you are dead inside because you were born with the original sin inside you. Your spirit is separated from God, but when you get saved, your spirit is reborn and you're no longer separated from God. And you get all the perks of not being separated from God anymore once you accept Jesus as your Lord and Savior. So this is what the Antichrist could use. You got the, real-time digital tracking, you have microchips, you have flying microchips, the great size of a grain of sand that can be dropped. Millions, trillions of these things can be just, into the air, and people just sucking them up and everything. And next thing you know, you're a walking address. Really, that's what you are. You're a walking address. You just put you on the GPS and just follow you. It does sound like something out of Hollywood that they make in one of these science fiction movies and everything. But this is real stuff. This is real. So until next time, all right. Until next time. I'll have some more news for you. When it comes in, I'll bring it to you. I know sometimes I don't post like every 4 weeks or something like that, but I just don't grab anything and just say, oh, I'm going to post it just for the clickbait of it. No, I'm bringing you stuff that's actually, hey, it's here. It's probably going to be used. Okay. So until next time, this is Brother Kevin with End Times Prophecy Broadcasting, bringing you another End Times Prophecy update. Good evening and God bless.